Kuro was with me earlier, but at the moment, the casting jersey has gone to bed. And here we go. Spawning in the bottom left-hand corner of Tropical Sacrifice ESL, we have the Canadian Protoss player himself representing Team Super. It is TriGGeR. And spawning in the top right-hand corner of Tropical Sacrifice ESL, we have the blue Protoss player hailing from the land of the Netherlands and representing Shopify Rebellion. It is Harstem. Love it. Slow run in the chat. Can the winner of this series stay awake for the final match? That's a good question. That's a pretty important question. It's getting late in Europe. It's getting pretty late. Ay, ay, ay. Oh. All right. Here we go as we're diving into our first of, I imagine, many PvPs. We have been able to avoid them for the most part this qualifier, but now we are here. Both players going for the low ground gate expands, as we do have that ramp here on Tropical Sacrifice. So everything is looking pretty standard from both of our players. Both of them probe scouting each other, trying to be as annoying as possible. Harstem trying to delay this Nexus for as long as he can. And we'll see if any one of our players budges and goes for a Stargate before Nexus. So far, again, they both got their Zealots on the way. Zealots, of course, are being forced out to focus down those pylons and make sure they can actually expand. And again, we'll see how far they take it. Over in the chat, got him, Papi. NA server. Yeah, there we go. The Zelda is forced out here for TriGGeR, and it is also forced out for Harstem. And both players go for their Stargates. Interesting, interesting. They had the option if they wanted to try and go for their Nexus first, but ooh, we do have that pylon block. They know that it's going to be really hard to get that over on each other, as we even still have the probe here for TriGGeR. So the Nexuses are both delayed. Both players mirroring each other. Both players keeping up with each other. As the probe does finally go down there in the end. Probe is still alive for Harstem, so he can even force a longer delay. Uh-oh. Uh-oh. There we go. Finally, the Nexus is thrown down here for TriGGeR. Looking at the vision of Harstem, did he see this? He did see it. And this is where the mind games, or this is where like the build comes into play. Both players saw each other's Stargate, so they both know that they went Stargate first. And Harstem made the choice, okay, I know that you have a Stargate, I'll go Phoenix first. TriGGeR, bold move, I know you have a Stargate, I'll still go for an Oracle anyway. And now it's going to be that much more on I think I called him Stardeck, on TriGGeR, they're both good friends. It's going to be that much more on TriGGeR to try and sneak out with this Oracle, avoid the Phoenix, and actually deal damage. Meanwhile, second Phoenix is on the way here for Harstem. Again, looking to shut down the Oracle, to shut down any kind of aggression. Third Phoenix on the way as well. Harstem really doubling down on the Phoenix opener. Luckily for TriGGeR, the Phoenixes are not in position. They're here at the natural base, not covering the main, so the Oracle is going to dip in, and there is no shield battery either, so this is a decent amount of damage. A lot of lost mine time here. 3, 4, 5 probes, 6 probes going down. Oh my god. Oh. So 6 probes, despite the fact that we had Phoenixes, honestly, really worth it here for TriGGeR. More damage than should have ever happened. So a nice opener so far. Harstem, though, now has the map control. There is no reason to keep these Phoenixes at home, so now he moves out, and now he can deal some damage of his own. Tries to dip in towards the natural. That's what this Stalker army is, so zoned out for the time being, but rotates over towards the main base. Could maybe pick up a worker here, but there's a shield battery, so it's going to take that much longer and give TriGGeR that much more time to respond. And so far, so good. These Phoenixes honestly haven't done much at all, but they're still alive and they can still kill some probes later on. Meanwhile, when behind, Dark Shrine. Oh, there we go. As already 2 probes go down. 3 probes even. 4 in the end. And the Phoenixes survive. So very well done here by Harstem. It was on TriGGeR to again try and keep up with them as best he can, and he did for a while, but not in the end. Dark Shrine on the way here for Harstem. Do we have any detection? We do not. I'm a little bit concerned. We do have a Stargate for an Oracle, but we do not have a Robo. TriGGeR going straight into a third Nexi. He's moving out across the map with his Stalkers. We have a Shield Battery, we have the High Ground, we have Defensive Stalkers and Phoenixes. Harstem should not be broken here at the natural, and TriGGeR may be punished for this fast third because the DT is on the way. Robo is thrown down now, but it's going to take a while to get that detection. This DT, we'll see if he tries to cancel the third. Harstem has options. He can either cancel the third or go straight to a mineral line. And it looks like he's going to leave the third for now. We have another DT behind this. Oh, we have a full wall off. Oh my god, the whole position Stalkers are going to give TriGGeR a lot of time. Is it going to be enough though? There we go. Oracle is now on the way. Ay. The DT is making its way through. We need, oh god, we need a chrono. He's gonna get the pylon. Oh my god, I think this chrono boost is maybe a little bit too late. We have a second pylon being thrown down. The DTs are trying to force their way in, and the pylon is gonna go down. Ay. This may just be too much. We have an observer on the way as well, thankfully for TriGGeR, so things aren't gonna get too out of hand. So we have another DT coming out. We did see a recall code back home. We have detection. This could have been a lot worse. TriGGeR only losing 2 probes. I have to wonder if that recall was a mistake. I don't know. That was a kind of weird recall. What's important? TriGGeR does hold on to his third base. Do still have another observer on the way. DTs could have done crippling damage, but honestly, it's really important that TriGGeR had his army on hold position on that ramp. It did buy him time to respond. It did make sure that the DTs didn't deal too much damage. Meanwhile, Phoenixes try to dip into the main. Blink is about to finish up in a couple of seconds, but the Phoenixes are left in the dead space. Are safe and sound. Behind this charge on the way, Immortals as well. And TriGGeR is going to be able to maintain a bit of an economic lead here with his third base. Harstem not too far behind with his own third. Meanwhile, I love that we're finding use for this Oracle. Despite the Phoenixes, once again, the Oracle finds even more damage. Oh my god. 8, 9 probes? I have to fun out of the Phoenix. So really well done there by TriGGeR. A really weird timing for an Oracle to be made, but it was made because of the DTs, and it did a surprising amount of damage. Really good. Again, keeping Harstem a little bit back when it comes to those probes, and now TriGGeR is moving out. Harstem does see this with this probe.
Mineral field depleted.
Going to be rotating with his own army. Both players do have Blink, +1 on the way for Harstem. So we do have a little bit more longevity here with his army because of his Forge. TriGGeR, without a Forge, is going to have a bit of a weaker army, but he makes up for it with Immortals. Meanwhile, massive shout out to Darking, giving us a host here. Thank you so much, Darking. I hope the Magic the Gathering stream was enjoyable. Meanwhile, Robotics Bay on the way here for Harstem, getting into those disruptors. Again, we have this window, we have this timing before +1 is done for Harstem, and TriGGeR, he times it. The shield batteries aren't even done either. We do have an overcharge though. Harstem gonna be able to force this back for the time being. Force fields are on point as well. Again, TriGGeR has to try to end this sooner rather than later. +1 still not done. Gets on top of a lot of these cannons. Boys are forced off the line as well. Overcharge was just used, and TriGGeR may just have a little bit too much, especially with this Immortal in the back line. Harstem GG gets called, and TriGGeR takes the first game. Oh my god. I was getting a little bit concerned because again, the window for TriGGeR was closing, disruptors were going to be coming out. +1 was going to be coming out as well. All that static defense was on the way. But Harstem just wasn't ready for it, and TriGGeR takes the first game. we'll see if Harstem can fight back. As we are getting ready for our second game here. Gonna be on Data C. Oh. Oh boy, and I am going to be joined by another fellow caster soon, TM. Oh my god, thank you so much, by the way. Thank you so much. Asher is looking to maybe join me here. I appreciate it. I've been so lonely ever since Kuro left. But here we go. We are diving into game number 2 and spawning in the top right hand corner of Data C ESL. We have the Canadian Protoss player representing Team Super. It is TriGGeR. And spawning in the bottom left hand corner of Data C, we have the blue Protoss player hailing from the land of the Netherlands representing Shopify Rebellion. It is Harstem. Gonna be a bit of an uphill battle here for Harstem. Down in this series, down in ping, down in servers, but not out, not yet. Oh, both players still have a second life, bear that in mind. And we'll see how the openers shape up here as both players once again going for their gate expands. At least they want to. We have that ramp. They are going to be being that much more economic here with their openers. And we'll see if they're both forced to go into their Stargates again. Just like last game. Just like last game. Oh boy. And yeah, I think I would have to say that Harstem going for those Phoenixes, I like the choice, but obviously it didn't really work out for him in the end. Like, the first Oracle still does a lot of damage anyway. The Phoenixes, when they counterattacked, they got 4 probes and that's it. Like, they didn't even come into play when it came to the big fight at the end. Like, there is always a lot of potential with Phoenixes when it comes to the crowd control that they can provide. But let's be honest, like, the Phoenixes were pretty lackluster last game for Harstem, and it felt like that kind of set himself behind a little bit because of that. So we'll see if he goes for the same choice as Harstem does throw down his Stargate. Meanwhile, Harstem was a little bit out of position with his probe, so TriGGeR is able to throw down his Nexus. So more economic here from TriGGeR, more aggressive from Harstem. Again, TriGGeR still doing the best he can to delay this Nexus. Hopefully not for too much longer, especially because they have the Zealot. Like, Harstem should eventually get this up and running. Stalker coming out as well with that added DPS. Gonna be able to focus down the probe and cancel the pylon. Beautiful. I think what's interesting is that, oh my god. It's been a while since we've seen Phoenix Wars, but that is exactly what we are seeing. Okay, couple of things. Harstem, oh my god, he threw down a pylon. So what's important here is that Harstem does have eyes on the first unit. He sees that a Phoenix is coming out. And he himself is also doubling down and going for Phoenixes of his own. So we are getting into Phoenix versus Phoenix. And Harstem shoots first with his Stalker. Ooh, already Harstem with a bit of an advantage. TriGGeR did respond appropriately and he pulled all the way back home. He will not lose his first Phoenix. If he was careless, he would have. Oh boy. Now the question is, who stops making Phoenixes? Because Harstem has already got 2, he's working on a 3rd. TriGGeR stopped at 2 and is immediately switching into Blink Stalkers. So I was getting excited. I was hoping we would get into Phoenix versus Phoenix, and I think Harstem thinks that's happening right now. He's like, oh, okay, you know, we both made a couple of Phoenixes. We're not going to stop, right? We're going to keep going, right? Question mark. He throws down a second Stargate. He is hard committing into Mass Phoenix. And this could still work. It definitely could still work. It's going to take a while, especially because of the openers, for TriGGeR to transition into Blink Stalkers, which it looks like he wants to do. There's going to be a scary period here where eventually Harstem is going to move out. He's going to shut down the Phoenixes of TriGGeR, and he can just snowball from there if TriGGeR doesn't have enough support on the ground, whether it's shield batteries, whether it's Stalkers. Oh boy. TriGGeR now moving out across the map. And with this move out, he should realize what's going on. Oh, sees all the pieces of Harstem. First Phoenix of TriGGeR already going to go down. And can TriGGeR stop this? Like, again, so TriGGeR's doing the right response in expanding faster. Phoenixes can't do anything to the space. They cannot shoot down. They can lift up, but they can't shoot down. So third base is going to go up unhindered. We do have a shield battery here at the natural. We don't have anything here at the main base, though, and probes are going to start falling. 2 probes already going down. Only 2, though. Only 2. Stalkers are in high enough numbers where Harstem has to respect that. And from here, Harstem realizes, ooh, we're not going into Phoenix Wars. I need to transition. I'm going for my own Robo. Robo on the way. Gateway's on the way as well. He knows that going Mass Phoenix just isn't really going to work out for him. He needs to get out of here. But not just that, he also needs to at least get some value. Ooh. 1 Phoenix goes down for 5 probes. Well worth it here for Harstem. What's important is that TriGGeR can afford to lose workers because he has a 3rd Nexus. He can produce 3 workers at a time. Just has to make sure he doesn't lose too many. There are 2 more gates thrown down here from the side of TriGGeR. TriGGeR now with the map control moving out, going to be checking to see if there's a 3rd base, and if there is, going to be looking to cancel it. Meanwhile, Harstem just staying on 2 bases. He has his Phoenixes. He's going straight to Immortal production, which I think is the right call. He's not going to have a lot of buffer for the Immortals, which is a little bit scary, but what he lacks in Stalkers, he makes up for in Phoenixes. They're going to charge as well. And this is a little bit scary. The Phoenixes move out and the Stalkers aren't going to be at home to defend. This mineral line is so exposed. Both of them are. Uh-oh. TriGGeR, not like this. Oh god, the entire mineral line is going to go down. This is going to force TriGGeR off the ramp. And oh my god, he just goes for the kill. The Immortal goes down. And it doesn't matter. GG gets caught. TriGGeR takes Game 2 in the entire series. Wow. I was so concerned about those Phoenixes, but really all that does is like, that just lets TriGGeR know, hey, they're not at home. They're not where they need to be. Oh my god. And Harstem was baited into going Mass Phoenix as well. Wow. GG, well played. XD. GG, well played. TriGGeR will take the entire series 2-0 and move on to that qualifying match.